If the camera hadn't been recording, no one would have believed what happened inside that quiet little house on the edge of Cedar Hill, a suburb where nothing dramatic ever seemed to happen. A father insisted the family dog needed to be put down. A mother insisted he was wrong. And the truth only came out because of a 10-minute recording that changed everything. Before we go any further, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. The morning began with raised voices again. Jason Hawley slammed his hand against the kitchen counter so hard that the cereal box toppled over, spilling flakes everywhere. His jaw was clenched tight, his expression caught between anger and fear as he pointed toward the big brown dog lying near the hallway. Diesel lifted his head, confused, his ears drooping slightly as little Tyler sat in his high chair, hands pressed against the tray, as if trying to understand the tension filling the room. "I'm done," Jason snapped. "The dog is leaving. Today. I already talked to someone who can come pick him up this afternoon." Emily held Tyler tightly as she lifted him from the chair. Her voice trembled, but she didn't break. "Jason, Diesel has never hurt anyone. Not once. You're misreading everything. He's not dangerous. He's curious. He's just watching over him." Jason shook his head. "A dog doesn't protect a baby. A dog is a dog, and you can't trust instincts." He stares at him nonstop. "I'm not risking it." Diesel didn't move. He stayed on the floor, still as stone, but his ears twitched every time someone raised their voice. His eyes stayed on Tyler, not with hunger, not with irritation, but with a gentle focus that neither parent fully understood yet. Emily felt something deep in her chest, an instinct she couldn't explain. Something told her Diesel wasn't the danger. He was trying to show them something. But Jason only saw a threat, and that was when Emily said something she didn't know she was brave enough to say. "If you're so sure Diesel's dangerous, then let's test it. Leave him and Tyler together for 10 minutes. Record it. If Diesel shows even the slightest sign of aggression, I'll be the one to let him go." Jason blinked, shocked, then relieved. It felt like a chance to prove himself right. Fine. 10 minutes. Just them. On the living room floor, Emily's stomach tightened as she set Tyler on a soft blanket in the center of the room. Tyler squealed happily the moment he saw Diesel and reached out his tiny hand toward him. But Diesel didn't come closer. He stayed where he was, watching with quiet intent. The small camera on the shelf blinked red dot. Everything was set. Jason and Emily walked to the kitchen, leaving their baby and their dog alone. Their phone displayed the live feed, and both of them leaned over the screen, barely breathing. Tyler slapped his hands playfully on the blanket, laughing at something only he understood. Diesel lifted his head slightly, but remained low to the ground. Jason muttered, "See? That's how dogs act before they do something." "He's waiting." Emily kept her eyes on Diesel's expression. Nothing about it matched the danger Jason believed in. Neither of them had any idea what truth waited at the end of those 10 minutes. On the screen, Tyler leaned forward, reaching for his plush bear. Diesel shifted a paw, then the other, moving as slowly and carefully as an animal trying not to startle a baby bird. His eyes followed Tyler's every move, not with predatory focus, but with full awareness. Jason whispered, "He's waiting for a chance to pounce." Emily shook her head. Though her heartbeat thudded painfully, Tyler pressed the bear against his face and giggled. Then he rolled sideways, inching closer to Diesel without even noticing. Diesel pushed up onto his elbows, slowly, almost reluctantly. His tail didn't wag. His body didn't tense in anger. He looked alert, focused, like he was listening for something. Emily and Jason couldn't hear. Then Diesel suddenly froze. His ears perked sharply, twisting toward the right side of the living room. Jason squinted. What is he looking at? Emily leaned closer to the phone. She didn't see anything. Tyler kept laughing, kicking his tiny feet against the rug. But Diesel wasn't watching him anymore. His gaze held steady in one direction, eyes focused like a laser. Jason's voice dropped to a whisper. This is the moment I mean. Dog snapped without warning. Emily didn't answer. She was watching every subtle movement in Diesel's body, searching for a clue. Tyler dropped his toy bear, and it bounced once before rolling toward the far wall. He crawled after it, unaware of anything else. Diesel rose fully onto his feet, slow but steady, like he was preparing for something. His head turned again toward the same corner. Then a faint buzzing sound reached the microphone. Emily recognized it instantly. Diesel recognized it too. "Oh no," she whispered. It was the robot vacuum. The same one they stored under the side table. The same one that clicked loudly whenever it turned. The same one that had yanked Diesel's fur more than once. The same machine the dog avoided whenever it moved. And now, it was rolling out from beneath the table, heading straight toward Tyler. The wheels hummed as it crossed the carpet, bumping slightly as it adjusted itself. Tyler's face lit up with excitement. He clapped. He thought it was a toy coming to play. But Diesel didn't, single quotes, every muscle in the dog's body tightened. His back fur lifted just a little. His stance became protective, guarded. His eyes never left the vacuum as it approached, inch by inch. Jason stared at the phone, confused. What is he doing? He'd expected Diesel to attack the baby. Instead, Diesel was watching the vacuum like it was a threat. Tyler extended his hand, ready to touch the moving machine. Diesel took a slow, heavy step forward. Then another. Then another. Not fast. Not aggressive. Purposeful. Almost cautious. Tyler didn't even notice. He giggled as the vacuum bumped the edge of his blanket. Jason tightened his grip on the counter. He expected disaster. He expected Diesel to lose control. But that wasn't what was happening. Diesel placed himself between Tyler and the vacuum. Emily covered her mouth, eyes wide. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She had seen Diesel run from that vacuum dozens of times. She'd heard him yelp when it caught his fur. He hated the thing. But today, he wasn't running. He was walking toward it. Tyler reached for the spinning brush at the front of the machine. Diesel lowered his head, blocking Tyler's hand with his shoulder. Emily gasped softly. Jason's eyes widened. The vacuum bumped Diesel's leg. The dog didn't flinch. His chest rose and fell deeply, but he didn't growl, didn't snap, didn't retreat. He stood firm. Tyler giggled and patted Diesel's back. Thinking it was all a game, Diesel stayed still, keeping the toddler behind him. The vacuum tried to maneuver around the dog, but Diesel shifted again, blocking it with his body. Jason whispered, "I don't understand." He didn't see a threat anymore. He saw a guardian. The vacuum continued pushing forward, determined to follow its programmed route. Diesel finally lowered his head and gave the machine a sharp push with his nose. It jerked sideways, spinning halfway before redirecting itself. The wheels whirred as it rolled off to the right, heading back toward the table. Tyler squealed with joy and clapped again. Diesel didn't move until the vacuum had completely disappeared from the camera's view. Only then did he turn back to Tyler, walk over, sit beside him, and curl his body gently around the child like a protective shield. Tyler immediately rested his head against Diesel's fur. Content and safe. Jason stared at the footage as if he'd forgotten how to speak. Emily wiped her eyes with trembling fingers. She whispered, "He wasn't stalking him. He was guarding him." Diesel had known the vacuum moved unpredictably. He'd known it bumped into everything. He'd known it had hurt him before. He'd known it could hurt Tyler too, for the first time. Jason said nothing. He simply watched as Diesel kept Tyler close, his head lifting occasionally to scan the room, making sure the vacuum wasn't coming back. Minutes passed. Quiet. Heavy. Tyler tugged gently on Diesel's ear. Diesel didn't move except to look down and blink slowly. Relaxed and patient. Tyler leaned too far to one side. Diesel scooted closer, supporting him. Every second became clearer and clearer. He wasn't waiting to harm the baby. He was making sure nothing else could. Jason swallowed hard, shame creeping into his face. He whispered, "How did I get it so wrong?" Emily didn't answer. She didn't need to. The video said everything. Tyler picked up his stuffed bear again and offered it to Diesel. The dog sniffed it, then gently placed a paw on the edge of the blanket, as if to keep Tyler from crawling off. Jason wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. It hurt, realizing he had nearly forced out the one creature in the house who needed no instruction on how to protect their child. The timer on the phone ticked down to the final minute. Diesel laid his head beside Tyler's tiny foot. Tyler kicked playfully. Diesel didn't budge. He watched Tyler with full attention, ready for anything that moved. The timer beeped. Jason felt the sound all the way to his bones. Nothing in their home would ever be the same. When the timer beeped, Emily didn't wait a single second. She rushed from the kitchen toward the living room, her steps fast and uneven. Tyler sat happily in the center of the blanket, babbling to himself, his small hands exploring Diesel's thick fur as if the dog were his favorite pillow. Diesel lifted his head the moment Emily entered, his eyes soft, his tail giving the smallest, calmest wag as if saying, "It's okay. I've got him." Emily knelt down and scooped Tyler into her arms, hugging him so tightly the little boy squeaked in surprise. Tears filled her eyes, but this time it wasn't fear, it was relief, certainty, validation. She ran her palm over Diesel's back and whispered, voice breaking, "Thank you. Thank you so much." Diesel pressed his head gently against her arm, accepting the gratitude without hesitation, without pride, without anything but pure devotion. Jason walked in slowly, much slower. His shoulders were tense, but not with anger anymore. With realization. With something heavier. Shame, guilt, and something like awe. He stopped beside the blanket, staring at Diesel, then at Tyler, then back at the dog, whose loyalty he had doubted so completely. Diesel sat still, waiting, watching, not expecting anything. Jason crouched beside him, his voice low and unsteady. I don't even know what to say." Diesel looked at him, his eyes gentle and steady, his tail wagging one soft beat. Jason swallowed hard. He reached out and placed a hesitant hand on Diesel's head. "I'm sorry," he whispered, meaning every word. "I was wrong." Diesel sniffed Jason's hand once and leaned into it, accepting the apology with no hesitation, no resentment, no conditions. Just forgiveness. Tyler stretched out one tiny hand toward Diesel, pressing his palm to the side of the dog's face. Diesel closed his eyes and let out a slow, deep sigh, the kind of sigh that only comes when things are finally safe again. And from that day forward, nothing in that house was ever the same. Jason didn't look at Diesel the same way anymore. He no longer saw a threat lurking in the corners of the room. He saw a guardian. He saw the dog that had run towards something that hurt him, before just to make sure it never hurt Tyler. Every night after that, Diesel slept curled up outside Tyler's bedroom door, his ears twitching at every little sound, his breathing deepening only when Tyler's did. Diesel didn't need anyone to tell him what to do. Protecting Tyler had become part of who he was, and Jason, who once believed instincts were nothing but dangerous, now trusted Diesel's more than his own. A week later, something happened that made Jason shudder at the thought of what could have happened if Diesel hadn't been there that first day. It was a quiet Saturday morning. Emily was folding laundry. Jason was fixing the cabinet hinge in the hallway. Tyler was in the living room playing with a stack of soft blocks. Diesel lay nearby, watching him, as always. Jason heard it before anyone else did. A faint clicking, a mechanical hum. He stiffened. The robot vacuum. It had turned itself on again. "I thought you unplugged that thing," Emily called. "I did." Jason shouted back, already hurrying toward the living room. But Diesel was faster. He spun toward the table, nose pointed, ears alert, the same unmistakable posture he'd shown in the video. The vacuum rolled out, bumping forward aggressively as if on a mission. Tyler squealed happily and clapped. "Toy!" Diesel stepped in front of him immediately. Jason arrived just in time to see Diesel block the vacuum with his shoulder, pushing it aside whenever it changed direction, keeping himself pressed between the moving machine and the toddler. Emily stood in the doorway, hand covering her mouth. Jason felt his throat tighten all over again. He remembered, Jason whispered. He remembered what hurt him, and he still chose to protect him. Diesel nudged the vacuum sharply again, this time flipping its wheels sideways so it stalled and whirred in confusion. Jason hurried over and pulled the plug from the outlet completely. When he turned back, Diesel was still standing guard over Tyler, his posture steady, his breath even. Like this was simply part of his job. Tyler wrapped his arms around Diesel's neck and giggled. "Good boy." Diesel lowered his head and licked the side of Tyler's cheek. Jason cleared his throat and whispered, "He's not just a good boy. He's family." And Emily nodded because it was true. That evening, after Tyler fell asleep, Jason sat on the couch with the baby monitor in one hand and the security footage open in the other. He watched Diesel again, watched the moment he had stepped forward, watched him push the vacuum away, watched him curl around the baby like a living shield. Jason's chest tightened. He hadn't been protecting his son. Diesel had been. Emily sat beside him, laying a gentle hand on his arm. "He knew," she said softly. "He knew before we did." Jason nodded slowly. "And I nearly got rid of him." Emily leaned her head on his shoulder. "You didn't know, but he did," Jason whispered. The next morning, Jason built a small wooden plaque and hung it above Diesel's bed. It read, "Guardian of Tyler." Emily laughed when she saw it. Diesel wagged his tail every time he passed it. Over the next few months, Diesel became Tyler's shadow. When Tyler learned to sit up without falling, Diesel nudged pillows around him like a protective barrier. When Tyler began crawling, Diesel walked beside him, positioning his body like a safety rail. If Tyler leaned too close to the coffee table leg, Diesel gently pushed him back with a soft nudge of his nose. If Tyler dropped a toy and reached too far for it, Diesel placed a paw on the blanket, preventing him from sliding forward. Emily watched all of it in awe. Jason watched in quiet gratitude. Their home felt different, safer, warmer, because they finally understood who Diesel really was. Not a threat, not a risk, not a problem waiting to happen, but a protector who'd been doing the job long before anyone noticed. One afternoon, Jason was in the garage when he heard Tyler crying through the open door. Panic shot through him, and he ran into the house. He stopped dead in the doorway. Tyler had toppled sideways while playing, and Diesel had flung himself underneath him so fast that the baby landed across the dog's back like a soft cushion. Diesel stood completely still, letting Tyler regain balance. Emily rushed in, breathless. "Oh my God, are you okay?" Tyler sniffled and nodded. Diesel stayed frozen until he was sure. Tyler was steady before he sat down again. Emily pressed a hand to her chest. He caught him, like he knew he would fall. Jason swallowed hard. He sees everything, and Diesel did. He always did. From that day on, Jason told friends, coworkers, neighbors, anyone who would listen that Diesel wasn't just smart. He understood. Months passed. Tyler began taking wobbly steps, reaching for Diesel's fur to steady himself. Diesel stood perfectly still, never once pulling away, never once tired of being used like a furry handrail. Every milestone Tyler reached, Diesel was there. His first steps, his first tumble, his first word, Joel, which they were pretty sure meant Diesel. Every night, Diesel curled up outside Tyler's door, sleeping only when Tyler did, waking instantly if he made a peep. Jason began leaving the door open sometimes, just so Diesel could sleep closer. One evening, while Emily rocked Tyler in the dim nursery, Jason leaned against the doorframe and watched them both with a softness he hadn't felt in a long time. He said quietly, "Do you ever think about how close we came to losing him?" Emily pressed her cheek to Tyler's head. Every day, Jason took a deep breath. I'm never doubting him again. Diesel, lying nearby, lifted his head as if he understood. Maybe he did. The Hawley family never forgot the moment everything changed. Not the beeping timer, not the footage that captured the truth, not the dog who had been ready to give everything for the smallest member of their home. In the end, Jason realized something profound. He thought he was protecting his family, but the real guardian had been lying on their living room floor all along. A dog they nearly gave away. Dog who saved their son before anyone else even noticed the danger. A dog who didn't need language to show loyalty, just instinct, not just love. Just Diesel. If this story moved you or opened your eyes, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories that remind us that sometimes the greatest protectors don't wear badges. They wag their tails.